Right, 7 April 2025, and today is going to be a quick update, and there's a lot that is happening that I want to cover. Specifically, I want to cover the changes in the military that has been made by Mnangagwa. So Mnangagwa has made a lot of changes this week that we did not know about, and these changes have come to light overnight. So overnight, there's been a lot of circulating information on changes in the military, and I now want to show you those changes. So the changes are coming from the fact that Mnangagwa feels that he does not have complete control of the military. So he does not have complete control of the military, and he has made certain changes, not only at the commander level or at the general level, but inside, especially in presidential guard and inside the barracks. So many more changes have been made, and I can show you right now some of the changes that have been made, including, and you can see that Mnangagwa has personally signed these changes. Some of the changes include reversing of the appointment of the SAS details, movement of captains, and transfer of some majors in special forces. And also, specifically, Mnangagwa is worried about the special forces. You can see the changes that is making in the special forces. You can also see changes at the HQ of the army, which are some of the changes that have been made. These are just some of the changes. It's not all of them, but there are a lot of changes taking place within the military, on top of the changes where they have removed the actual commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. So what is happening with Mnangagwa is very simple. There is massive confusion, and this cannot be allowed. There is no way that this can be maintained where you have the military making so much changes. So firstly, the changes that were made at the level of the generals, which we've been talking about here, including Air Force, Army, Intelligence, Police, and Zimbabwe Prison Services. And today we're seeing the changes that I've just shown you here. It's only a small part or small portion of the changes that have been made by Mnangagwa. And these changes, they are being hurried. So they are being done hurriedly. There are mistakes in the documents. You can see mistakes in the documents that Mnangagwa is putting out. Clearly, there is confusion. A lot of confusion taking place. And specifically, you can see the dates. When they put the dates, they are running and making these quick changes, and Mnangagwa is not checking. He's signing documents with mistakes. So look at the documents that Mnangagwa puts out, and it's funny that a president can allow documents with mistakes to pass and to be taken as an instruction to the army to make changes. So crazy stuff happening in the Zimbabwe military. Every day we wake up to something else. And I can imagine how the guys are feeling right now in the army when they wake up every day and there's a different instruction coming from Mnangagwa. So this week is very important. There's a lot that is happening, and you are going to see, especially the impeachment. So yesterday, the Zimbabwe government is acknowledged that there's an impeachment motion that is going to be coming this week. So Jenfan Muswere, the Minister of Information, has confirmed that this is coming. This impeachment motion is probably likely to be tabled tomorrow. And he has said that the government of Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF are going to use the majority in parliament to defeat the motion. So you can go check out in the newspapers of the day, in the state press, they're acknowledging that there is that motion coming, and they plan to use the parliamentary majority, and they also plan to use Sengezo Chavangu. So they say this is going to be across the divide. So I think this is very important to note. And some groundwork needs to be done. People need to be on the streets so that the MPs don't do their own thing, that the people have got pressure from the people. So I'm looking at the statement by Jenfan Muswere, and I can see panic. There is massive panic inside Mnangagwa's government, especially after the revelations yesterday of the massive corruption of over $500 million money that has been given to Wicknoch Vibe. So it's crazy, and we're going to be seeing a lot this week. Just wait for something big to happen in Zimbabwe this week. It's not going to be an ordinary week. It's going to be one of the most eventful weeks in Zimbabwe. You have never seen what you're going to see this week in our country. And Mnangagwa is going to be totally shocked by the outcome. There are many people who understand what's at stake in Zimbabwe. And you can see the panic with Mnangagwa changing the military. However, he cannot change the people on the street. And I believe that this is where all the action needs to take place this week. Now, let me quickly run through some news. I was here last night, so today I don't need to stay longer, although I like hearing my own voice. So let's look at some of the important events and the trending news within Africa. I'm going to start with the Zimbabwe Republic Police. So let's go to the Zimbabwe Republic Police. There is a trending story regarding the Zimbabwe Republic Police. And what has happened is that the Zimbabwe Republic Police has changed their approach in recruitment. So the Zimbabwe Republic Police has now introduced a 2-year course with the University of Zimbabwe. All new recruits have to undergo a 2-year course as part of their recruitment into the Zimbabwe Republic Police. And currently, 10 police officers have taken the ZRPs to court after they were dismissed. And they lost the case. So the police, the Zimbabwe Republic Police has won the case against 10 officers who were dismissed for failing a University of Zimbabwe course. This course is 6 months. The first portion, if you fail that course, you leave the Zimbabwe Republic Police if you're a new recruit. So what happened is that last year, about 700 police officers set for the course. So in fact, 977 set for the course and 377 passed all modules. 551 failed, less than half, and 44, including the 10, failed more than half of the modules and were not allowed to write. So after 2 years, they were dismissed from the police force and they went to court and they lost the court case. The court ruled that they cannot become police officers if they've not passed the course. So very interesting. You can go check it out. This story is in the Sunday Mail newspaper. Very interesting because it means now being a police is no longer simple. You actually have to study for 2 years after you get recruited. It's not just by running anymore. And then let me look at other stories that are taking place here. And let's look at the unemployment in Zimbabwe. So the Zimstat has released the unemployment statistics for Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe is undergoing one of the biggest unemployment ever. And unemployment is growing. There are only 30% Zimbabweans that are employed. 63.9% of Zimbabweans are not working, whereas 6.1% are probably pensioners and so forth. So what this means is that the majority of the people in the country don't work. They are vendors and informal traders, cross-border traders. That is on top of the people that are out in the diaspora. Most of them who don't work any formal job. So if you've got a degree in Zimbabwe, you must understand that you are not being trained so that you can get a job. You are being trained so that you become unemployed. And these are the things that we're talking about, the changes that we need to make sure that if you get you finish working, your studies at NAST, at UZ, you get a job. This is a big problem. You cannot have a country like this. I want to put it into context for you. In the United States of America, unemployment right now is below 5%. It means many people are working more than 2 jobs. Obviously, there are many factors. The cost of living is quite high, but the current situation in Zimbabwe is such that almost no one is working. That is what it means. If you don't work for government, if you don't work for a parastatal, you are most likely not working. Very few private jobs. But I'm happy to say, personally myself, I've created more than 30 jobs. So in all our Gambakwe companies, we've got more than 30 people who work there. And at Gambakwe Media specifically, we've got about 10 people who work at Gambakwe. So amazing stuff. Besides just complaining about the government of Zimbabwe, you should also try to create employment. So it is also up to you. If you're doing something, create a job for 1 or 2 people so that the people can actually get to work. Then let me see if there's anything else of interest here that I want to show you. If you're looking for a job, now that we're talking about jobs, the Chino University of Technology has advertised various lecturing positions. So if you want to become a lecturer, I'll put this on Gambakwe. You can go check them out and see if you qualify. And then let's go to, I was looking around for something interesting and I went to Opo Chingono's Twitter. You can go check it out over here. This is a Zimbabwean doctor with 4 wives. So Opo is featuring this doctor on his channels. You can go check out Zimbabwe doctor Solwa Ngwenya. He has 4 wives. That is Professor Solwa Ngwenya. He was in this particular picture in Ngai, where he was attending the Melo Katakamela. What is Melo Katakamela celebrations? He's a traditionalist who believes that it is better to have a big family within the bounds of African culture than to promote the culture of baby mothers or single mothers. He's a professor of medicine specializing in obstetrics and gynecology. He is the founder of Royal Women's Clinic, a private clinic in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, and he is also the CEO of Impilo Hospital. So acting CEO of Impilo Hospital has got 4 wives. They look very young to me, the 4 wives. I don't think these are his only wives. Because if they were his only wives, I would expect to see like an older wife there with the gray hair. So it's clearly more than 4 wives from what I can see here, but they're looking stunning. And I always say to the young guys, sekuru wako vanga vane vakadzi 7, iwe uri kutadza mukadzi 1. Then in sports, there's been a change at the top of the league. Geza Platinum is now back at the top with MWOS at number 2 and Scotland at number 3. And you can see that Simba Bora, the previous champions, are at number 6. So we are looking very closely at Simba Bora. This is a very organized team, and I expect them to get up to the top very soon. It's not by accident that Simba Bora go to the top. They are doing very well, and I expect them and Scotland, Team Evaroi, to compete against each other. So I expect the 2 teams to be the ones at the top. So you know very well that I don't like Scotland. Scotland, Team Evaroi, Scott Sapupanya, responsible for the murder of Pastor Tafmane Masaya, who was campaigning in Mabuku. So terrible team, Scotland, Nevaroi, especially these girls, our Takat, our supporter is Scotland. Anyone who supports Scotland, Muroi. Now let's go to Africa. Africa, very interesting. I want to start in Zambia. So President Hakainde Hichilema, my favorite president, has met with the bishops of the Catholic Church. There is an election in Zambia in 2026, and there is a bit of misunderstanding of what President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to do. So there are various changes to the constitution that are taking place in Zambia, and these constitutional amendments have been misunderstood by many people, although I understand them. So what President Hakainde Hichilema is doing is changing the constitution so that if a candidate is withdrawn, they don't have to restart the nominations. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, President Hakainde Hichilema has introduced a new seats for women and youths. So those are new additions. There's also delimitation. So some constituents are now too big, and he's trying to make sure that these constituencies become smaller. So there's delimitation taking place in Zambia, or the legislation is being put in place to put in place that delimitation. So many people don't understand what President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to do, but I totally understand it. And this is going to assist in improving democracy in Zambia. So there's been some complaints by the Catholic Church and some bishops. And President Hakainde Hichilema, as you can see, he's a listening president, and he has given audience to the Catholic bishops. He's meeting with many of the bishops and also with civic society. They are setting up public events where people speak and air their views, and no one is getting killed. So in Zambia, democracy is flourishing. I love Zambia. It's an amazing country, and I'm wishing that President Hakainde Hichilema gets a second term and continues. Because if they remove, or if President Hakainde Hichilema was to lose the election, Zambia will go back to the days of PF, and it will be a total mess. So President Hakainde Hichilema, the best president for Zambia, and these amendments are, to me, they are very good. I like them. I like the amendments. So Zambians should also like those amendments. Then let's go to South Africa. South Africa today, I just want to handle one issue. The Vaal Dam is now overflowing. It's now 109%. And there is a likelihood of flooding taking place in South Africa. So people who live downstream from the Vaal Dam have been warned to get ready for evacuation. So this dam, remember, at one point was almost empty when we were seeing those graves at the bottom of the water, but now it's overflowing. And still, there is water shortage around Johannesburg. So it's crazy, and I don't know why it's happening. I think there's a problem with management of water around here. So anyway, I think I've covered everything. I'm going to keep it short today because I think I'm going to come back. There's a lot that is happening with the impeachment and also with the possible firing of General Chiwenga. So we are looking forward to an announcement on the dismissal of General Chiwenga. This has already been agreed. So the decision has been made to fire General Chiwenga. And this decision was made at Precap Farm by Mnangagwa and a group that is running a parallel government. So there's a group that is running a parallel government that met at Precap Farm with Mnangagwa. And then there was also another meeting that includes all the top level security structures of Zimbabwe that met at Borodo with Mnangagwa, and they've decided that they are going to go after Chiwenga before the impeachment. So my expectation is that today there's going to be an announcement of some sort on Chiwenga and also on Rugeje. So the understanding is that there is something that has been decided on Chiwenga and Rugeje. Remember, there's also the minister who was dismissed last week. I think it's Tembi Sonyoni. That position needs to be filled. So this is all connected, and we're going to see a dramatic situation. If Chiwenga was to be removed, there will be total chaos and probably a revolt in the army. Chiwenga now controls over 60% of the army of Zimbabwe. So almost if we say not even less, more than 60% of the army of Zimbabwe supports Chiwenga, and more than 90% of the generals support Chiwenga. So this is why you see that Mnangagwa is not moving. He is totally confused on what to do. And what he's doing now is to change the army in a random and erratic manner. So every day there's a change in the military, with Mnangagwa trying to preempt what could happen. However, it's going to happen. Mnangagwa is facing impeachment. If impeachment fails, you're going to see something even worse taking place in Zimbabwe. So we're on the verge of something very, very bad in our country because of Mnangagwa's irrational behavior. Mnangagwa is currently being accused of suffering from vascular dementia. Dementia. Dementia, mudhara uyo. That is why he's making such erratic and crazy decisions. So let us recap. We said overnight, there's been leaked memo, a leaked secret memo that shows that Mnangagwa has made even more changes in the military. These are only a few of the changes. And I have shown you that Mnangagwa is desperate to make such changes. He has even made mistakes on the memo. So if you look at the memo that Mnangagwa signed, there are mistakes there. It said that a person that is of this nature, suffering such a disease, is allowed to make such changes in the military. One day he's just going to press the wrong button. That is what I can see with Mnangagwa. This man is crazy. And look at those changes. He's worried about special forces. He's worried about HQ. And he's also worried about the barracks. And these changes were with immediate effect. What a crazy situation that we're watching. And we're also going to be watching as Valerius Banda is about to retire. He's reached 70 years. And remember that his term was only extended, I think, up to May. So we've got less than a month before Valerius Banda has to leave office. And this means anytime now, he can be moved into a different position. Right, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. And I don't think I've got much more now. As I said, I want to come back during the day to cover some other stuff. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you, let's say, before midday if something big happens, or even earlier if another dramatic thing happens today. Thank you very much. And a good day to you all.